entrepreneur Stephanie Parker, and I'm sorry to say, but my little kitty co-host wasn't feeling too well today, so no treats for her, and we will just continue on. Stephanie!
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Refrigerator Magnet Challenge, Stephanie Parker edition. Special Broadway font for Stephanie. I pulled that out myself. Broadway.
So funny.
And very exciting. We got our refrigerator magnets in. They're so cute.
Aww.
Everybody on this show wins a refrigerator magnet, and they're tiny. I'm thrilled to have Stephanie on because she's a girly girl like me. I know you're nervous about this refrigerator magnet challenge, so let's get started to it so I don't have to keep you in suspense any longer. Stephanie, which of the following is the most awesome piece of history? A. Andrew Jackson's sword. B. Harry S. Truman's walking cane. C. Abraham Lincoln's stovepipe hat.
Okay.
Or Washington's armor.
Washington's armor.
And why?
Well, I mean, if you get a chance to actually see it, his armor is more spiritual armor more than anything.
Yes.
And there's some really neat history behind Washington and how he was protected and had horses actually shot out from underneath him, but God protected him through a lot of things, and his walk with the Lord and his spiritual life was a big part of who he is. And I got a chance to help out on that set. And just, it's a great, incredible production that they're going to be filming the next episode for here coming this May, so that'll be really cool. So make sure to stay tuned and check that out. Go to Washington's Armor because it's amazing. But anyway, that's so funny that you asked that question. I didn't expect that one.
Next question. Which of the following actors is a true treasure? A. Kirk Cameron. B. Cameron Diaz. C. Cliff Arnett, better known as Charlie Weaver from Hollywood Squares. Or D. Cameron Arnett.
Definitely Cameron Arnett.
Yeah, and why?
That's so funny. He's actually in Treasure Lies. I got a chance to be a little tiny part of that film this past summer, but I love these people, and he was in that. He was also an overcomer, but that's gonna hopefully, I think that their goal is to be releasing that film or showing it for the first time at the Christian Worldview Film Festival. But I absolutely love, like, Scott Peterson and Brett Varvel. They all work together on this film, and I love them, their hearts and their wives. They just have this incredible story. It's actually interesting because I remember my audition for that was a monologue I'd written about losing a child, because I believe that the redeemed of the Lord need to tell their stories. And so it was loosely based on my own experience of that. And what was interesting, what I didn't know at the time, was that the producer of that film, Scott Peterson, and his wife have gone through that same loss, and Brett and his wife had also experienced that same loss of a child. And I just, their hearts for the Lord and honoring him in the midst of tragedy and finding joy after and calm and peace after the storm through being faithful to Christ are just such a cool testimony to who they are, but also what this film represents. Thankfully, this film is definitely on a mountaintop. It's funny, it's witty, but it also has a great message about where your treasure lies. It's based on the scripture, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. And it just kind of tackles that. Where do you place your treasure? Is it in the things of this world, or is it in Christ? So anyway, that's just a little side fun note, but I'm excited to see it because they've been working really hard on it too. So great, amazing actors in it too as well.
This is for the big win, Stephanie, the win of the magnet. You want to win this magnet. What is the biggest threat to your career working in the upcoming movie The Text? 1, they will require me to do all my own stunts. 2, I'll keep messing up my lines, delaying production. 3, the director won't like me. Or 4, a younger actress named Charlotte will show me up.
Right? She totally will. That's my daughter. Yeah, I was so excited to find out yesterday that my daughter, who's 9, was cast in a movie with me in the text. So that'll be so fun. And I've gotten to read the script for the film, The Text, that is going to be filming hopefully later this year. And I just love the heart behind it. I love the Candy, who wrote the script. She just has a heart for the Lord, and it's called The Text, and the premise is around kind of texting and driving, but really I believe that the theme and the focus is about redemption and forgiveness in the midst of trial and tragedy. So I'm excited. Charlotte did such a good job. She's had just this little desire to act that I guess that kind of surprised me. She's always been a little dramatic like her mom, right? But she's recently really loved acting, and so she just put together a little audition yesterday, sent it in, and they were like, "You got the part." And what was so neat is Candy, who wrote her name is Candy, she messaged and said, "Charlotte, your character doesn't have a specific name yet. Would you like to choose it?" So Charlotte got to pick the name of her character, which was so sweet, and she was so excited, and her name is Abigail. She chose Abigail.
Adorable.
So, but yeah, it was cute.
Oh, it's adorable. Well, I have to say congratulations, Stephanie. You just won our refrigerator magnet challenge. Yay!
Yay!
And Stephanie, what are you going to do with your magnet now that you won?
Put it on the refrigerator.
Good answer! Okay, now we are going to do the Take Me for a Walk segment, but we have something else we have to do first. With Midnight, she's over in the corner right there. Midnight, you poor little kitty, she's not feeling too well. Since we don't have Midnight, we're going to have a special turtle cam. I'm going to ask Stephanie to pull out the shoe cam. Do you have cool shoes on?
Shoes. Yeah, you want to see my shoes? Okay.
I do. Yes, I love shoes. What girl doesn't?
I don't know how to do this.
Oh, I love them.
My shoes.
I do love them. Those are the best shoes ever.
That was a first.
So are those suede?
No, I bought them, I think, from Kohl's or something. I don't know. They're like probably fake suede. That's what
I love them.
Maroon with studs.
I love them. I have a feeling Jamie Hope would love them, and I know Emily J. Buckner and Melissa Curley and Christina Peck from Skywatch. Stephanie happens to know the Emily J. Buckner.
Yes, she is so sweet. I met her at the Christian Worldview Film Festival last year, and we got to sit together and we watched Play the Flute that was showing there, and she is just so sweet. She's got a heart for the Lord and just a joyful countenance. So it was cool to meet her.
And that's why I mentioned Emily, because when we see patterns, Kevin and I, we're very strategic. We take note. So with Stephanie, Emily, Dre Hill, Josh Murray, these 4 people, God is lifting up in a major way. These are all 4 people that have waited. This isn't an idol in their hearts. They've waited. It's been a deferred dream for these people, or they kind of fell into it in a roundabout way, not seeking it out. So Stephanie, can you tell us the amazing story of how you got into acting? But you also have to tell us about Shark Tank. So go for it.
Okay, well, so probably 10 years ago or so, I was acting and actually moved to LA and had a manager and agent out there, and I definitely was really convicted multiple times when I was out there, just at the fact that a lot of the roles were not God honoring. And truth be told, back then, I don't even think my walk with the Lord was as strong, but I was still so very struck and convicted by what was out there. And
can I ask how old you were about at that time?
Okay, so I'm 35. So that was 10 years ago. So I was 24.
And you went there like after college?
Actually, so I graduated college early, and then I went and lived in Ecuador for a year, and then I went and lived on a cruise ship for 2.5 years. I have just a very weird, crazy past, but anyway, in a cool. I in Ecuador with a dear friend of mine who was an exchange student in the United States. She lived with my best friend from high school, and I went and lived with her there to learn Spanish. I've always had a really big love for languages. And then after that, I lived on a cruise ship and was an art auctioneer for like 2.5 years.
Awesome!
Yeah. And then after that, I actually left the ship because I really wanted to kind of pursue acting and stuff again. And I'd always loved it. You know, I'd done a lot of theater acting. But then moved to Austin for a while and did some film in Austin, but then also in New Mexico, and then moved to LA for a while. But I just, again, and then I left. I ended up leaving LA, and I got married, and then 6 months later, like I was engaged while I was in LA, and got married, moved back to Texas because that's where he was. And then we got married. I got pregnant 6 months later, and I had my daughter, who's now 9.
Aww.
So, and I also have a 5-year-old son. And so after my daughter was born, my heart's desire was to stay at home with her, but we couldn't financially afford it at the time. And we were a 2-income household, and it was right around that time when I was going to have to go back to work after maternity leave. And my daughter stopped sleeping. She was swaddled really tightly, like a little burrito, and she stopped sleeping. And I couldn't figure out why. I mean, it was all that newfound freedom because she couldn't be swaddled anymore. And I did some research to discover that her startle reflex that made her jolt awake suddenly was because of her inability to feel, she couldn't feel her edges like she could in the swaddle or the womb. And so I created a product that helped her sleep. And it worked. I mean, she went from sleeping not at all to like 12 hours a night. And
whoa.
And I had to make the decision at that point, okay, this crazy invention that I created for her to sleep, it worked. Should I do something with it, or do I go back to work? And I had just gotten the call, you know, to kind of go back to work. And I remember sitting on my bed in tears and just being torn at what to do. I never wanted to own a business. I never had a desire to start my own business or anything, but I did desire to be home with her. And I felt, and I remember praying, God, what do I do? And I opened my Bible to this verse in Ephesians that says, to him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we could ever ask or imagine, by the power that is at work within us through Christ Jesus. To him be the glory forever and ever, amen. And so in that moment, like, I still have my Bible, and there's like tear stains right on that verse, like it, and that's such a special thing to me. But I remember saying, okay, Lord, you've given me this crazy contraption that helps my daughter sleep. If you choose to bless it, then you're getting the glory all day long, every day, every time I talk about it. And he did. He blessed it more than I could have imagined. We grew so quickly.
Wait, what kind of product was it? Like, can you show it or describe what it was, basically?
Oh, I don't have one here right now.
Is it like a swaddling type thing? Like an older swaddling type thing?
Yeah, so it's designed to be a swaddle transition. So it helps a baby move from the swaddle, that little tight wrap, to a swaddle transition. So it's like a star-shaped sleeping garment. So babies often look like little starfish or flying squirrels when they're wearing them, but it gives them just that slight resistance in the arm span to where when they're startled awake, they're able to put themselves and self-soothe back to sleep. And so anyway, that really took off very quickly, and we ended up getting to a point where we needed help. We didn't know how to really grow it. It was going so fast. I mean, I had started by sewing all of them by hand, and I'm a terrible seamstress. So that's why I say this was a miracle from God, because just random people started buying our product from all over the globe with no marketing dollars. I literally spent $500 on a website, $200 on fabric. The product was terribly sewn because I'm a terrible seamstress. So when I say God did immeasurably more than all I could ask or imagine, it truly was by his hand. Yeah. And it grew so quickly, and then we ended up going on Shark Tank because we were thinking we needed some strategic investors that would help us with a wise counsel in terms of moving to the next phase of our business. Mm-hmm. Do we go retail? Do we expand internationally? We just didn't know at the time, and there was a lot of stress on our business because of how quickly it was growing. And so we ended up going on the show, and we got 3 offers, and we ended up going with David John's offer. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of a neat experience too, because we shared about our faith. I shared about the loss of our baby on that show. And they cut a lot of that out because it was like an hour-long show that they edited down 15 minutes. But we ended up getting a deal with Damon after the fact because of that due diligence process taking so long. It takes like 6 to 9 months. Mm-hmm. And that was like crazy pressure from being on the show. Like it was 300 plus emails a day, more orders than we could handle. We thought we would have enough stock for 9 weeks. We ended up being completely out of stock within a week or so. We thought we'd have enough for 9 months and ended up only having a couple weeks worth of inventory. And so during that time, we were forced to grow and learn in a way we would not have had we not been on that show. And we actually ended up learning all the things that we thought we were going to need with that strategic partner, and we ended up not going ahead and signing that deal, which was a great decision for us. Damon was wonderful. I speak really highly of him, but it was the best decision to continue as our business. And he had ideas about moving towards licensing, essentially give our business to someone else. And we really wanted to keep it within our family. And so anyway, that's a lot of information for you to hear.
No, I want to hear about this because this is helpful for a lot of people a lot of these indie producers are doing exactly what you did, having to figure all this stuff out themselves. So this is helpful for people to know this.
Yeah, but I want to tell you a cool story because it goes back to kind of what I shared earlier about having lost a baby. We shared our story on that show because so many women helped me heal in a lot of ways, because I had to tell them that I just was so behind on orders because I had just lost a child. And this was before going on Shark Tank. And these customers of ours just surrounded us with love and support. But afterwards, I got this email from this woman. Her name is Kelly, and she had said that she was pregnant. Doctors had told her she should probably abort the pregnancy because the likelihood of the child surviving to birth was very slim because of the severe heart conditions he had. And she just shared that after seeing our story, she wanted to fight for her baby and believe in her child, and she ended up having her baby. His name is Finn, and he's like 3 now, and he's alive and well, and he had his heart surgery, but other than the scar on his chest, he is a totally normal kid. He's become the national ambassador for the American Heart Association. So to see what God does, he never wastes anything. Right. Never wastes a darn thing. And so I love for me, that was the reason we were supposed to be on that show. It wasn't about, yes, thank God, because it really was an incredible marketing tool for us, but I feel like that was the reason. You know what I mean? To hopefully truth and hope into some people. So that's the story of Shark Tank.
Well, can I ask, is that a product that still, like, people can purchase?
Yes, sleepingbaby.com is our website.
Wow.
So,
that's amazing. How long ago was that?
So this year, it's been 5 years since we were on the show.
Wow. That's awesome. I love that. I love that story.
Thanks.
So then after that, how is it that you got into acting? Kevin saw that post that you have on your Facebook actors page, and you were very concerned about whether or not you should even start that. So can you tell us the rest of that story?
Yeah, actually, I felt led to kind of walk through the door of acting again. And it ended up leading me to another door of screenwriting, which is a whole nother crazy thing. But I remember I just don't, because of our business and knowing without a shadow of a doubt that we would not be where we are without God's hand in it. My husband has been incredible, and he has these incredible gifts to lead as well. And he's given me gifts to help with this business, but they're all from him. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's not ours. And
Yeah.
so what's, for me, I just don't like, God has had to knock me off the throne of my life multiple times in different areas of my life, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And I just didn't want to intentionally put myself on a throne again, because I know how destructive that is. I know how dangerous that can be, not just to your personal walk, but just to everyone in your life around you. And so I was like, I don't even want to tell people that I was pursuing acting.
When you decided to go back into acting, I'm assuming you had to tread lightly, since you knew that, people around you, that it didn't go well the first time. So how did that come about?
Well, I knew that I wanted to just act for his glory. I knew I just didn't want to do it just to do it, and but unfortunately that does result in a lot fewer projects that you can even submit to. And it's like a catch-22, right? If you want to do Christian film, people have to be able to see your work. and there is just not a lot of, there is a lot more Christian film than there ever was, let me tell you that. But when you're really just applying to stuff, and I don't mind applying to stuff that's not Christian, but I don't want to apply to stuff that is very against what God's word talks about, what I profess as a believer. But it does limit. For example, just last week I turned down a role that I had submitted for because I got the sides, and the sides, what that means is like that's part of the script. Got the sides, and it was about the breakdown. The description of the role was talking about a friendship between two girls. It didn't say anything more than that. And there was actually a love interest between the two when I read the sides. And I just said, I'm sorry, I can't do that. I can't. That's just not something I'm going to do. So it just is challenging it's way more challenging to be picky. And that's the other thing. When you go to Hollywood, you're just told, just take whatever you can get. Beggars can't be choosers. Yep. And, you don't want to give off the vibe that, I'm better than that. You don't want to give off that self-righteous vibe that, I'm too righteous to do this role. But on the other hand, I'm not willing to compromise, right? I'm not doing that again. And by the grace of God, because of the business that God called us to, I don't have to. And that has provided so much freedom, as well, which I'm so thankful to God for. Because I can do things that I am more passionate about, and that honor God. And so, for example, there is like one or two sites that all they do is post Christian projects. And then there's a bunch of other sites that post some Christian projects, but then everything else. And it really is like finding a grain of sand amidst a pile, It's not easy, and it's going to take some work, and it's going to take some endurance and some willingness to say, okay, God, I'm going to keep going because I feel led to use my gifts to tell your story for your glory. And it may not be easy all the time, and you're going to end up, getting these roles that aren't great, or and that you're going to have to turn down, but that's okay. And so I don't know if that answers your question.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. In fact, let me tell our viewers that last night when we talked to Stephanie, there were so many tie-ins, and Stephanie was telling us about a project that it sounds like God might be calling her to produce herself, which tells me that I think your Shark Tank experience might be like a gateway to leading you to doing that project. So can you tell us about that project, Stephanie?
This screenplay is called Go for Broke, and it follows the lives of 6 interconnected characters. It's very similar to Love Actually or the movie Crash, where all these characters intersect around a central theme. In this movie that I wrote, it's around the theme of brokenness. And so each character has these lives where they work really hard to hide their broken from the world around them. And then through a series of tragic events, they're forced to come face to face to their brokenness and either lay at the feet of Jesus and before the body of Christ or stay stuck. And it really is a story of what power that comes in our weakness when we're willing to lay it at the feet of Jesus. So that's what that is. And then, so I'm working on that. God has been so gracious, and it just won Best Script at the Hollywood Divine Festival.
Wow.
So, which again, I'm just like, what are you doing, God?
Wow.
And so I'm just picking up breadcrumbs. This is my life. He just kind of drops a little breadcrumb here, and I'm like, okay, God, I'm going to pick that up. I'm going to say yes to this little breadcrumb. I'm going to say yes to this next step, and I'm just going to be obedient there and let him do the rest, because I feel that my job is to walk around the wall, and it's his job to tear them down. Do you know what I'm saying? Like Joshua.
Yep, amen.
To go out there and battle, it's God's job to go before me and gain the victory. So my desire in all of this is just to be obedient to what I feel very strongly that God is leading me to. And what's so cool is, like, it really, there's no desire to get glory. I mean, who ever hears of anyone writing a screenplay, right? Who knows who wrote what? No one. And this, to me, it's such a great and very affirming thing, because I know this isn't for me. I know I've tried to run away. I know it's the Lord putting me here and helping me write this script, because a lot of the stories within this script are things that God has taught me when he's had to kick me off my own throne and put God on the throne, when he's shown me the power of our brokenness, when his strength comes into our weakness. So that's just a little bit about it, but that's what I'm working on now. Don't know where it's going to go, what's going to happen, but I will say I'm just so impressed with the Kendrick brothers and the way that, like Aaron and all the other people that are involved in that group. They just desire to pour into the next generation of filmmakers, and it's such a powerful thing. It's them being a good steward of what God has given them, because they are not burying their talents in a field. They're taking and multiplying them. And I think I just saw something about the Kendrick brothers doing another film, but this time they're going to take a back seat so that they can allow other filmmakers to move forward into their gifting, which is just awesome. It's just awesome. So, yeah.
Wow. I know it's getting close to the time when your kids are getting home from school.
I think, yeah, actually my kids might come through the door in just a second here. I don't know if you'll be able to see anything, but I decorated for Christmas because I love Christmas, and I don't know. This is
that's perfect. No, that's perfect. It's beautiful.
Probably can't see very much, but this is what gave me the encouragement to write that screenplay when I didn't feel qualified or equipped. This is it. To him who is able. Not me. I'm not able in my own strength, but he is. It's our Bible room. That's what my kids call it anyway. This is where I read my Bible every morning, and it makes me happy because it's a bunch of old stuff that has been repurposed into new, and repurposed it into this cool old couch. And right here, this is my kids' art. Over here. This is my little, they made all these wonderful things over here. Hey, Maverick. Say hi.
Hi. Hi, kids. Hi. Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for joining us today. We love you and look forward to hearing more from you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'll be praying for you guys in your ministry. Thank you for doing what you do.
And thank you, Stephanie. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
When I move, if the motor do not start, so I gotta pray.